So I ran into an old college friend at a coffee shop recently, and he asked me an interesting question. If the goal of a startup is to either A, get acquired, B, go public, or C, merge with another startup, what comes afterwards? What comes after you've reached the peak of Startup Mountain? I jokingly said that you probably float around in a pool sipping something strong while you think up of your next venture. He laughed at me and then looked away despondently. Today we're talking with a guy who co-founded a company with his brother, which then got acquired by PandaDoc. And now he leads the sales and go-to-market functions and efforts for PandaDoc Notary. Andrew Pearson, welcome to the show, my man.
Finally, man.
Dude.
A year in the making.
Season finale of season 2. So you better feel honored for this.
And I wore my Florida pink for you too.
Dude, you're looking very Florida.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's play our opening clip for you.
Okay.
Hey everyone, it's official. Big Badass Company's now the sole owner of little tiny puny mom and pop shop. We are so excited for this relationship. We are going to do great things together. Congratulations. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. We are so excited for this relationship. With your funding and your connections, you're going to help us grow into the future. It is going to be a beautiful symbiotic relationship we have. Thank you so much for taking a bet on us. We're going to work hard to really make this great.
My God, Lisa, are you getting this on camera? The filter just came and erased the Hollywood sign. The Hollywood sign is gone. It's just shredded.
Oh gosh.
Basically, well, for those that are just listening, I just played Andrew at TikTok where everything looks and sounds glorious, but ends up turning into a shitstorm. I believe that was the movie Twister.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You sure hear that. That's for sure.
Is post-acquisition as bad as they say it is?
That's where I do disagree, as we talked earlier. You know, it has been a different experience for me. One, dealing with a company like PandaDoc and the structure and all the resources they have. It was scary pre-acquisition, more of what are we signing our lives off to, or what are we signing?
I built this baby.
Yeah. So that was difficult. And then also finding a great match for the acquisition. So like I remember we were talking to a credit union who was just going to purchase us and throw us in a room and do nothing with the product. All they wanted to do was benefit their members. And so with PandaDoc, what drew us is it's an all-in-one management solution. And so adding Notary was the fit there, the perfect fit.
I love it. And I think one of my favorite parts about the Notary part of our product now is people like being surprised that we offer it. They're like, wait, you can do remote online notary? I'm like, I think I shared with you some screenshots of like LinkedIn comment threads I was having with people. And I was like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You can do remote online notary unless you're in California or Massachusetts for now.
And that's what, that was educating.
Yeah.
It was a huge part of our marketing was education, because nobody knew. And so I could start off emails, hey, do you know it's legal in state? And boom, we're getting, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I can do that?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, we're going to dive into your messaging and your go-to-market, just like exercises of what you did. So first segment I want to get into is just milestones that you need to hit before getting acquired by another startup. Because I feel like a lot of times the conversation happens about like post-acquisition, but what about pre-acquisition?
Yeah.
So a lot of people dream about being in the position that you yourself have been in. My first question for you is, why are you still working? If you got acquired, shouldn't you be floating in a pool, like I said, dreaming up your next venture? But no, seriously, like, I'm curious about what are some of the terms of the acquisition and like, you know, just describe that for us.
Yeah, I think more and more common to avoid these disasters is co-founder continuity. And so I still don't know exactly why PandaDoc chose us over all the other platforms, because they interviewed a lot. And my thought was co-founder continuity, so that we're not a shit show after we launch, and to stay on. And that's really common, these terms of, you know, we're going to stay on for 4 years. We have a plan for 4 years to, you know, get to achieve goals there and make sure that it's successful. And so, yeah, that's been, as far as milestones go, well, the funny story is we were a little fast. We were like, let's go get acquired.
Yeah.
And we came to Makita and he said, no, get out of here. We had no customers. We had no nothing. We just like launched and called Makita and other people. And so we went back about a year and just beta, got all of our early adopters, showed that the platform was stable. Then we went back and let Sergey dig into it. And he was like, yeah, all right. And we had few thousand customers at the time, and so that showed us that okay, this does have some value, because at first we had no value, so we would have probably ended up selling it for nothing, you know. So
like, we've got a great idea,
right?
But that is so cool. I didn't know that backstory, that you had gone to them and they were like, yeah, no, try again later, buddy. And then you guys did, and hey, you are here now. So I'm curious about like, what are you measured on as a seller now that you've been acquired? Because I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. Is people know what they're measured on when they're working at a company, but what about when they get acquired? Like, do things change? Like, did things change for you? Of like,
yeah, it's different. You know, I'm not on a quota per se like a normal sales rep would be, and so because you don't have the historics, kind of what that's going to look like. A lot of times you have new pricing, and of course we're coming into PandaDoc that already has established pricing, and so we need to align with that and learn how to resell with a new price. So that was important there.
I've also heard when I talked to, I'm trying to remember his name, my friend from Zendesk. They acquired somebody a couple of years ago, and I asked him what was like one of the most difficult parts about it, and he's like, the nuts and bolts on the back end of like like what you think would be something simple, like a new product added into the back end of our CRM for pricing, so that when the sales is going out and selling this thing, it's built into our existing pricing model. Not easy to do, bro.
What, we got 6-8 engineers just on Notary trying to just put it into the PandaDoc core.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Not easy to do. Blending those together. So, yeah, measurement.
Oh yeah, so
talk to me about like ARR or whatever.
Yeah. So one of our goal here is to reach 10% of total PandaDoc ARR.
Holy shit, that's ambitious.
Yeah. Yep. So a transactional volume is our North Star.
Okay.
So similar where we are based on an operating plan that we have in effect. And what we call it is a way to look at it. Probably going to get into this with incubation. Your next question with that is how we look, you know, we call it a startup within a startup.
Yeah.
And that's to your incubation question. Are we a little soon for that?
Dude,
it kind of all aligns
let's
with
jump
it.
right into it. Yeah. So basically, like, I learned this term at PandaDoc. I'd never heard of this before. And so for those listening, we started having these all hands company meetings, and they're like, hey, we're making an acquisition. We're going to have LiveNotary become PandaDoc Notary, and they're going to be in an incubation stage, or they're going to be an internal incubator. And I was like, huh? What's that?
Right.
So do you mind explaining for our audience, like, how does that work? How does that function? And what does it look like for your team?
Yeah, it's kind of a two-step, I guess. We call it incubation is where you're obviously in a team, a startup within a startup, if you think of it that way. And the reason why I love it too, and the whole goal of it is to experiment so that you can find predictable pipeline, find out who your ICPs are, and do all that information, so that you can actually go make some money and go to market with the thing. It's really utilized for is being flexible and not being a part of the PandaDoc main core, so that you can experiment. You can go mess around with pricing, find out what works, who your ideal customer is, and all that, and then not affect.
That's a cool mindset to have, with just taking the pressure off to allow you to think more creatively and tackle like problems and challenges you're running into with just a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah.
Right. And that to me is what's like really neat about it.
Yeah. And that's what I love. Like I want to stay in incubation just because it's so fun being able to experiment and try new things, try new messaging. And then what happens next is called transformation. That's when we would then become part of PandaDoc core product and all be part of the main org. So it's a little step in order to not go waste a bunch of money for sure, trying to make sure how to sell the thing first and where you're going to get your acquisition channels from.
That's cool. Again, I'd never heard of it. And I think that for those that are listening, there's something cool about this idea of hedging your bets with a little bit less risk.
Yeah.
Right. And being just more creative with your approach to acquisition, and bringing in new products or services into your core company.
And a lot of people are afraid of incubation, and especially sales, because they're concerned about this is a lot of risk going into this unknown, and how does this affect my career path? And so that, it's not for everybody, for sure.
That's a really good point to make.
For sure.
For salespeople who like a lot of structure, going from your company, getting acquired, and going into an incubation, a startup within a startup, if you're not cool with that lack of structure, then maybe this isn't the right move for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just love it, because we work in, how it works is 2-week sprints. Marketing's experimenting, products experimenting, sales is experimenting, and then we all meet to get together, find out what works, what doesn't work. And going back to why people don't like incubation either is because there's a lot of failure in it, and it sucks having the same meeting over and over every week saying you failed, but it's a good fail. You're finding this out now and not a year down the road after you're halfway through the year or something down the road.
And without sounding like too much of a kiss ass, and I've said this on the show before, but like one of the things I really like about our co-founders, Makita and Sergey, is I've heard Sergey say this so many times in all hands, is like, guys, don't be afraid of failure. Like, we want to make the right mistakes at the right time. Of course, if they have catastrophic effects, we don't want that, but it's okay to have things break. And that is a mindset shift that I've adopted since I've been here.
Same.
I really like that.
I follow it for sure, because it's like, I'm like, oh, well, that sucked, and we just check it off. Like I got no sales from that move. We just on to the next 2-week sprint.
It's like football players. I was watching Thursday Night Football yesterday, and I heard one of the announcers say, like, one of the best things you can have on a team like this, and a moment like that, is just short-term memory, like a goldfish, baby.
Yep.
Just right on to the next play. Let's go. Let's forget about it. Anyway, let's move on to segment 2, finding success as a seller post-acquisition. A lot of people talk about the nightmare of life for people who stick around post-acquisition, like we talked about, Twister Storm during a merger. Why do you think there's this negative stigma? Like, what's happening?
Right. Yeah, of course, like I mentioned, co-founder continuity, and what I hear happens a lot too. They get acquired, and then they start butting heads, and then it's the co-founders who got acquired that caused the problems, and then light the tornado or whatever inside the company.
Yeah.
And so then, and then everything just goes downhill from there. And with our unique situation too, obviously, my brother and Stefan, we're grinders, and we work so well together, and that's why it's been successful, and that's why I've had a different experience, I think, with it. It's because we play our part, we play our role, we know what needs to get done and everything. So it's like business entrepreneurial minded first, and then there's no drama after that when we're all just trying to get the bag.
I love that you pointed out the ego that happens, right? Like this the battle of the egos.
Yep.
Of why post-acquisition sometimes goes wrong.
Yep.
And having worked with you and your brother and creating some cool video content together that we did earlier this year, you guys are not, as far as I'm concerned, you're not egotistical. You guys were just like, what can we do? Like, let's do it. Like, scrappy, positive optimism. I felt like we were like on a team together, like sitting on the bench, like, all right, bro, get out there, let's do it.
Right.
So that was really cool.
And then
what else?
I think just going back to Makita and Sergey, when we first were acquired, it was nerve-wracking. We didn't know what to expect. We were all going, yes, this is going to be great, like the first thing. Like, it's going to be huge. And then, but to ensure that it was successful, they designated a gentleman, Igor K., who's been with the company a long time, but gave us all the resources, gave us the people that had been at PandaDoc to teach us how everything works and what doesn't work and why PandaDoc chose procedures that they have. So that was just a huge help, just understanding PandaDoc right out of the bat. Because we want eventually, that's our goal, is to get to a multi-product within the main PandaDoc core. So the support there, I think people fail. One thing that I'm really good at, I feel, to go from 0 to 1. And what I mean is a lot of people try to go 0 to 10 and get a bunch and think that, so 0 to 1, we're meeting like, okay, let's find our acquisition channel. Let's go see legal. Let's go see what we can do in legal. And you find out what works in legal. Then you go out to real estate and you go, so the different industries, running experiments in those different industries and just going 0 to 1. Okay, does this work? Does this not? Okay, go back to 0. And so a lot of people, and I've even had it too, where you just try to go 0 to 10 and get to the finish line, and it doesn't work that way. You know, you're going to fail. And, you know, and that's how we did it too, and we kept it simple. We took just 3 ICPs. I could have sat here and sold the construction, healthcare all day long. There's so many industries that need notarization needs, but we kept it simple: legal, real estate, finance. And that's been our focus for a year and a half now. And that's also what's driven us to be successful. We weren't chasing all these different industries, and we just stuck to 3.
I love it. That's also a huge part of like my strategy with content creation and what I'm trying to do in the message I'm trying to get out. Like, we find 2-3 avenues of how we do it. We run with it. We see it works. And I know it works. Your strategy works for you because when we post about Notary on social, it's like those 3 ICPs that are commenting like, oh, PandaDoc Notary is dope. I was a live Notary customer before, so happy to be on the platform, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, they're in they're in finance. Oh, they're in legal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we just focus on that. When we got our messaging down, 0 to 1, what's our best messaging for legal? Boom, we found out what works, and here come the bam booms.
All right, so let's talk about an article I found. So there's not much out there in terms of like how to be successful in sales after an acquisition, but there was an article on how to be successful in product, on a product team, after acquisition. And so I found this article on Product Plan, what to expect when you're expecting to be acquired. And they have 9, I guess, tips. And I'll go through some of them. And I just was hoping maybe you could pick one that you're like, yep, I really agree most with that. And then one that maybe doesn't apply to you. So the 9 are: do your homework, communicate early and often, sync up on roadmaps, defend the honor of products designated for sunsetting, which is an interesting one, prepare for conflict, prepare for the worst. I'm thinking of that Twister movie. Build important relationships, choose your battles, and break bad news quickly.
Yeah. Obviously, not a ton that actually applies kind of to sales here, but do your homework, obviously, knowing your competitors, understanding, for me, being in incubation and all my experimenting, that's doing homework to me. Define the honor of products designated for sunsetting. I'm assuming that means something like how when we shut down LiveNotary, we had to go break the news to everybody that their favorite platform, bye-bye, and is sunsetting. And so that was a fun one when we finally shut LiveNotary off. Yeah.
I'm sensing some sarcasm that was not a fun one.
Yeah. And then I would say one thing I disagree, like, choose your battles. I mean, from a sales side, we're going into battle. So that's really, we're trying to defend our product and sell it as much. So I don't agree much with choose your battles. I'm in battle.
You're like, I've been battling since day one, bro.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's talk about what changed most about your sales process after starting at PandaDoc. Was it the messaging that you were using? Was it the type of prospects you were going after? What changed?
Gosh, I've just been so excited. Just having so many features all of a sudden. Because we were just a RON platform. You got to upload a PDF, notarize it, and done. And that was why our huge attraction and why we are the best product, because nobody has all the features of PandaDoc that we were built with. So that was a big change, learning all these new features and everything, because originally we were going to be our own standalone product, and then we decided to make it an add-on. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, I have to learn PandaDoc now.
I got to learn how to upload a document.
Yeah, so
I got to learn how to use
I'm
a
like,
template.
Sally, I need this. So I took the self-paced AE thing, and I'm just watching and learning, and I'm almost pretty much self-taught.
Hey, shout out to the enablement team.
Yeah,
shout out Sally.
Dude, that was so great, and that got me up and running in like 3 weeks. And so just having that, having all those features is so cool.
So all of a sudden it's like a whole new product set to figure out like, all right, I'm used to selling a very simplified version of this product. Now I've got to figure out how to spin it with all these other add-ons to it.
Right.
And so what would you say besides Sally and enablement has helped you close the most deals since starting at PandaDoc?
Ooh, close the most deals. I mean, obviously the product speaks for itself too sometimes. Gosh, that's a tough one. What close the most deals? I just as my product knowledge has increased, I see my total contract values going up and up and up and up, and that's always been a pattern that I've seen as I keep learning. So I think that would be a big notice. Is just the more I know, the better I can sell and have better outcomes.
So better expertise and mastery over your product, and coming in as like, bro, I'm a consultant now.
Yeah.
At this point, like I can teach you everything you need to know about PandaDoc and PandaDoc Notary. Let's get you started.
So it's fun, yeah. I'm like, what are you doing right now with your documents? And so I can just go through the whole lineup of stuff.
Okay.
So
I think that's a good tip for folks too, is like, if you're about to be acquired and you're in a go-to-market function, as quickly as you can, become a freaking expert. Tap the enablement team, tap the training team, go through the self-paced courses. That's really good advice.
That's
All right, last segment. I was asking you about what some of your tactics are now that you've been acquired by PandaDoc, and you were like, bro, I use a land and expand technique. A lot of people listen to the show are like, I know what that is. For those that don't, can you just briefly define what land and expand strategy means to you?
Yeah. Sometimes you're not always talking to the right person, the champion there. We do have so many products too, sometimes that it's hard to get them all sold right in a decent time, because with notary, it is kind of a now. They want it now because there's such a use case, because I have to meet in person these days. So I found that and back to Reed's point when you guys talked about legal and dealing with lawyers and stuff, and really just, you're not going to rip word out of their hands after 25 years and write in one go. Get them in with the notary or get them in with e-sigs, and then let them experience PandaDoc and let them expand more into it. I get this call from this dude, and he's, Andrew, what the hell did you sell my paralegal? And I'm like, what, notary? And he's like, you know what? She's going around to the office now telling everybody how PandaDoc is so great, and it's like playing a video game at work. And I sat there and I was like, I play a video game at work all day. And I was like, I do too. And so I was like, yep. And she's like, now everybody wants PandaDoc and because of her. So she went in and went and told everybody how great PandaDoc was. And so that's kind of different strategies of land and expand, whether maybe you did have the right champion that went and bragged about how great it is. And
I think with the PandaDoc Notary, anybody that's done a normal old school in-person notary and then gets the chance to test out our product, dude, I just, again, going back, I helped you make a how to use PandaDoc Notary video with some of our other team members, shout out Rocky, and I was like, this is fun, dude. It's like a Zoom call with a document that you both get to play with together. It's like co-op, video games, collaborative. You're looking at each other, you're talking to each other, you're signing. And sometimes it's really important documents. Maybe it's buying a home, right? Like, it's a cool experience.
Yeah. And she was even utilizing our proposals. And she thought, I think that's fun, sending a proposal through PandaDoc. It's fun to me.
You're like, I don't know about you.
Anyway, I love sending proposals.
How do you approach PandaDoc customers that aren't using Notary, but are using maybe the proposal side of things?
Yeah, no, that was a huge undertaking when we first were acquired, actually, was to tap in. That was the first thing we did, was tapped into existing PandaDoc core to find pipe. And so a lot of surveying. So we worked closely with our surveying team and stuff. So we met with existing clients, started off, hey, did you know it's legal? Did you know PandaDoc has it? And then got their attention there, and from curiosity, and then educating them. So that was kind of our first attack. I love that. For sure.
You leveraging curiosity as kind of your opening, opening the door, your cold opener there of it's legal. This is this newfangled technology to make your life way easier.
Would it help you if you didn't have to go meet in person anymore?
Dude.
An easy question.
It's such an easy one, dude. I did one. It was so awful. It was so anticlimactic, and just I drove an hour to get there anyway.
Yep.
Do you have any examples of like some of your outreach, or do you have any stories of how you reached out to a current customer and how it went when you were like, hey, you have PandaDoc? You know, do you have any stories there of like maybe where it went well or it didn't go well?
Well, we did that one thing, that Bam Boom Diner thing. We sent that out, and that got a lot of people inquiring about it. So that was successful, and from there it was really excited. Those are like one of my favorite demos actually, is existing PandaDoc, because they love PandaDoc, and they're just like, this is such a match now, you know, because we solved such a huge missing part of their workflow.
It's like coming in as like an AM with a whole new feature.
Yeah. So I turn into AM mode at that one.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's always, they're so positive and so fun and stuff. So it's.
What are the biggest challenges that you've faced since coming on board? Like, what's been the biggest hurdle for you from a selling and go-to-market function?
That you don't own the company anymore.
Yeah.
That was an adjustment, you know.
Talking about that ego again, and just being like,
so that was brought
some
in.
humility, some being humble.
Exactly, So, and definitely having better empathy, learning that too, because I can get so focused in go mode, you know, and so just definitely having a whole environment, a whole team now to interact with, you know, that we all need to help each other out and stuff. So it's a different experience, just a lot of people now. learning a lot of people.
Well, cool. Well, you guys have become really popular internally at PandaDoc. The Pearson brothers are well known. If you, if anyone wants to connect with you, find you on LinkedIn, Andrew Pearson.
Yep.
Any last thoughts you want to plug, or anything you want to mention before we wrap this one up?
Oh gosh. Shout out to the notary team, man. We've been working hard. It's a year and a half now since the acquisition and stuff, and so we've achieved all of our new goals of acquiring new customers. Our transactional North Star we just reached today, actually.
Dude, right on.
That we hit.
Hell yeah.
So we're cruising.
Dude, that's good.
And we got On-Demand coming.
On-Demand?
Notary On-Demand.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. What is that?
It's gonna where you can now outsource to a pool or network of notaries within PandaDoc. So it's going to be an Uber style. So you're calling in for a ride, you're calling in for a notary, and they pick it up on the other end.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep, it's going to be really exciting.
Okay. 5 stars for 5 stars from my Uber driver, notary driver.
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to wrap things up with a clip from a movie that I am both afraid of and enjoy thoroughly, which is American Psycho. And you can tell me if this resonates with you at all.
Ask me a question.
So what do you do?
I'm into, murders and executions mostly.
Do you like it?
Well, it depends. Why?
Well, most guys I know who work in mergers and acquisitions really don't like it.
Mergers.
So, where do you work out?
Such a creepy scene.
I got it. Murders. That's funny.
Well, Andrew, you're not in murders and executions, but you are somebody who has successfully been acquired, started his own company with his brother and his friend, and kicked ass. This took a weird turn. I'm, of course, kidding. Andrew, I'm a big fan of you and the entire notary team. That's all we've got for you.
Great, man. Thank you for having me.
Dude, thank you for
awesome.
coming on. Season finale.
Yeah.
Season 3 is going to be coming out in January of 2023. We're going to have plenty more episodes of folks like Andrew who are going to be flying in. We're going to have just so much more fun. We hope you enjoyed this one. Stick around for next season. Andrew, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, boys, that's a wrap.
Let's go.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Engagement Lab, brought to you by PandaDoc. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or connect with us on LinkedIn. We love to hear from you and what you think of the show.